Thank you, Bad Mary, for that too sweet play-in. Welcome all you four-color funny book aficionados. This is US Comics Cast, your HQ for all things comic book related. I'm John Rivera, the CEO and co-founder of US Comics.
And that makes me your COO, the other co-founder of US Comics, the co-host of US Comics Cast, and the finest slice of hybrid panda you can find anywhere on the East Coast. Happy Comic Book Day, my dear brother.
Happy Comic Book Day, my panda-ass brother. How are you?
Living the dream, baby. Saturday is free comic book day. And you know I love my freebies. I got a fat stack
free
of comics.
Comic Book Day it's that time of day. It may as well be free bagel day.
Honestly,
like a free comic book. Like, sincerely, how does it get better? I just don't know.
Yeah, we are live, so we will be dropping in certain comics. Hey, Jennifer, you can say hi to John, but maybe also hi Charlie. I'm just throwing that out there. It's also an option to say hi to me on these live shows.
Jen knows where her bread or bagel is buttered. You leave her alone. Her taste is just fine. So much going on, dude. Free Comic Book Day notwithstanding, there is so much on the table. What's been filling up your beautiful little world? Your simple but beautiful world.
It is both of those things. For me, it's all about balancing out the news of new comics and new properties being made. There's all sorts of Ghostbuster news that I'm just dodging spoilers for.
Woof, you poor guy. You poor boy.
The theaters are just jam-packed with movies I want to see or I need to see.
The theaters / your television box in your living room.
Nothing is better than when I'm able to support some of my favorite stuff and not have to worry at all about,
i.e. your brother.
Yeah, exactly right. No, but it's just been freaking amazing. The big centerpiece this week for me was, oh baby, did you check out the Suicide Squad?
Did I check out the Suicide Squad? Not only did I check out the Suicide Squad, yes, I checked out the Suicide Squad.
I mean, I feel like this is useless for this one, but throw it up. Let's get those votes in.
I mean, I wish we had a little timpani drum, but at this point, not that, much like the Sarge, opinions, public opinions, critics' opinions, sometimes not even my own baby brother's opinions mean shit to me. However, this one's been pretty universal across the board, but we'll do it just for fun. Thumbs up, thumbs down. Brrr, Charlie, just like always, just the little thing just went off a little early.
We all have our superpowers.
You win,
even if we are villains. Man, I absolutely loved it as always. Boom! Spoiler warning.
Oh yeah! Look at this. Wow, the spoiler graffiti is getting legit. Charlie has actual trademark characters. Guys, if you're listening to the show as opposed to watching the show, good for you, because I appreciate our actual traditional podcast numbers.
That's true.
But every once in a while, it's got to take in the visuals, even if you just want to, just take a look at this. But look, I get it. Look, even across the board, this is a universal sweep for the Suicide Squad.
So,
but I mean, first thoughts, hit me up.
Right out the gate, I'm gonna do it. It's the reason my boy's here. Let me just slice the load as King Shark. Can I put my arm, I just give him a little neck rub ski?
Not for anything, but like your girl is in Hawaii, less than a few ticks on the watch, and you've already moved on.
King Shark is from Hawaii.
Sorry,
so
Jess.
we're all good. No, I absolutely was. I had very little doubt going into it. James Gunn's my boy. Guardians of the Galaxy, arguably my favorite Marvel movie. It kind of rotates between that and Iron Man. They constantly
You're
fight.
Arguing with yourself about what your favorite Marvel movie
is. Which is almost what this podcast is, because we all know you're just a slightly older variant of me.
True.
So, yeah, no, right out the gate, it hit me with everything I wanted. Again, we're going to go very, very light spoiler, but some will be unavoidable.
I'm going heavy Chevy spoiler. I'm going all the way May.
Fair enough. I like that too. But right out the gate, every character they brought back
Yeah.
was improved upon. Rick Flag, I think Joel Kinnaman, I think he's awesome. I support
Yeah.
almost everything he does. He's in one of my favorite ongoing series right now. I think everyone should check out. I don't know what channel it is, and I can't remember the name of it, but Joel Kinnaman
Nice.
is in a show. Rick Flag was disappointing in the first movie, and I liked that first movie. I was in that vast minority.
Really?
Um,
Okay, so just for true transparency, and maybe this is the one deviation of our variance. I was not a particular fan of that first movie. Now, just like any other thing out there in the world, to say, "Oh, I didn't like that," or as some of the dumb cretins, that sucked. Did it suck? Did it suck, or did you just not like it? Anyway, that's a different topic. But to say that it wasn't for me or I didn't love it, which I just said, that doesn't mean that there weren't certain parts that were just off the chain as far as I'm concerned. And there were. I won't drag the topic down by talking about an old movie. But that being said, you liked the first one. I did not.
yeah, and what I thought was amazing about that, that was one of those things I thought maybe I was going to be hindered some joy because there's aspects of that first one I like. So I'm not coming from evil Ellis in the comment section saying no. In this case, it actually did
Ellis.
suck.
Ellis is just like the comedy writing team that like you just feed him a banana every once in a while. And you're like, all right, let's go make with the material. God, I love that kid.
But for me, I thought that maybe since it wasn't going from what a lot of people thought was like this awful movie, again, kind of talking about them speaking in absolutes, I still thought this propelled everything. Every
Yeah.
character was done better. All the action was done better. The costume design was done better. From the moment I saw Rick Flag's yellow shirt with a bunny wearing a Warner Brothers shirt, holding a sign that translates to like from awful shit, good shit comes. Just a tiny little dig at the mouse
Yeah.
who temporarily fired him and then instantly hired him back. Everything about this movie is the sort of movie that was designed for me.
You like the little nuggets that were lying around, the
Oh,
Easter eggs.
man.
You were scooping them up.
Just, I mean, for God's sakes, Calendar Man makes an appearance. And if you said, hey, Charlie, what's less recognizable than Zaz, who's now been in multiple films? Calendar Man? Are you shitting me? I loved it. I think Amanda Waller is one of the best comic book villains of all time. Certainly, she's number one for DC right now. But I think she can go up against any villain. She is an awful, awful monster. I'm going to go to the comment section. How good was Cena in the movie? I like the guy, but not his acting. This movie was almost designed as a showcase for, hey,
Whoa. So this is again. I want to reiterate. This is heavy duty spoiler action. So anybody, plug up your ears if you don't want to be hit with them
I'll
upside
leave
the
that
head.
to you. I'll
You
leave
can
that to
always
you.
fast forward to the 25-minute mark, give or take.
I'm just going to say, I think it was a John Cena showcase. I think his relationship with Idris Elba was absolutely the highlight of a film that was nothing but highlights. You take any scene in the film and it's a contender for my favorite scene. God, there are people.
Did you feel the way I felt, where it was like almost like a jockeying type of situation,
100%.
and I'll throw it to your most beloved topic,
Me?
wrestling, right? So so in wrestling, if you have an individual wrestler, you're like, all right, this person's gonna spit right now. We got the antics are gonna kick in. If you have two wrestlers of equal standing, you're like, somebody's got to be a winner, somebody's got to be a loser, and this goes above and beyond even the heel face categories. If you've got three wrestlers, if you've got a click together, you're gonna sit back and say, all right, somebody's gonna come to the forefront right now. Somebody is gonna step up. Somebody's gonna have a moment. That's how I felt every time there was more than one Suicide Squad character on screen. Either somebody was going to be like a heart-wrenching moment, there was going to be adorable CGI rat, or Giant King Shark to take your heart away. Just the fact that King Shark is voiced by
Oh,
Philadelphia's favorite son, the namesake of my oldest boy pup, Sly Stallone, voicing King Shark by himself,
and just
was
went
worth the
for it.
price of admission.
No one in this movie didn't show up and were like, "Oh, I'm gonna go all the fuck in."
Yeah, I'm gonna give this an 8 out of 10 performance.
Yeah, every single one of them was like, "I'm gonna give this an 18 out of 10."
Well, they gotta keep up. Who wants to be that guy
And
or that gal?
what's amazing about it is the film does a brilliant job of simultaneously shitting all over comics while elevating it at times
Well,
to
it's
heights no one else but James Gunn with his big
it's
swinging hog.
self-aware. It's self-aware, very much, but completely different than, say, something like Deadpool. Deadpool
Absolutely.
is completely aware that it's a comic book movie. The Suicide Squad is also, as well as, completely aware that it's a comic book movie. They do it in totally different ways, though,
Yeah.
but equally successfully, I say.
I mean, there's not many times you can hurt an animal in like the first 2 minutes of a film and win me back almost instantly. There
Well,
wasn't.
let's go ahead and
Sure,
we'll
sure.
just
I'll let
it's
you
not
lead
exactly
the.
burying the lead, but if at this point you don't know that the body count in this movie, and I'm not talking about nameless background characters,
Fucking.
soldier number 17.
What
I'm
was
talking about
the.
people on the billboard, people whose names you're like, oh, I know this person from blah blah blah. And it's just off the bat. It doesn't make a difference if you were on the Serenity, or if you were on SNL, or if you were running around with The Walking Dead. You're fucking lying dead there. It's not a spoiler.
Dude.
I'll tell you straight up. Motherfuckers died in like the first few
Dude.
minutes of this movie. You're like, oh shit! It was like
Also-
faces of death.
Also, no one before the movie that chose their list of the dead, no one was right. Some of the
Dude,
characters they
I
kill, you're
wish.
like, they
I
invented a
wish
character.
that Doc Brown showed up at my house here in Jersey and said, "Oh, go wherever you want." I'm like, "All right, I want to go to right before, maybe an hour before I watch this flick, so I have the brilliant idea of having an actual Deadpool like Super Bowl boxes, and just do it across the board. Oh, who's gonna die? How are they gonna die? When are they gonna die?" Dude, I left so much money on the table. I'm furious.
From death number 1,
Yeah.
which hilarious. Death number 1. Death number 2 is literally like, oh fuck. Death 3 through 9 and like legitimately there are deaths where I got like upset. Like I felt like they killed some of my buddies.
Oh, I got you. Well, look, and both Marvel and DC have a similar scenario, much like in the actual comic books proper. Most comic books, not US comics, because we're adults. But in the even all right, even in comic book movies, I got very excited. Even in comic book movies, death doesn't really mean anything, especially
what the fuck exploded behind you?
Nothing that's not replaceable. Even in the comic book movies, we have a scenario where dead doesn't really mean shit. Like there's no reason why we can't have a bloodshot fucking dead shot flick. We can do anything that we want to do at this stage.
Well, that's one of my favorite things that you accidentally stumbled upon. Was
I don't know how accidental it was. I do what I do on purpose.
No, what I mean is a lot of people thought Death Sport, right? What's Idris Elba's character's name?
Yeah, one is like a Bloodsport.
Bloodsport.
There's
a lot of
Bloodsport
people,
and Deadshot.
A lot of people thought like, well, Will Smith was unavailable. Let's just get another huge name with a very similar like gimmick. The movie makes fun of how many people have been trained since birth on one.
It's literally a first 5-minute beat that they drop in on you. You're like,
it's
exactly. Plus
It's
the fact that he was
yours.
allowed to have his natural accent. I'm like, oh, thank you very much.
Well, not to. This is the one spoiler I will throw out there. There's a scene where he does an American accent, but he does like on purpose bad
Yeah.
American accent, and on my third viewing, it popped me so huge. Like there are little subtle moments that I just love. Harley, love the character or hate the character, the best developed character in
if
any
if you
franchise.
hate Harley, then I'm gonna pull a straight up Jay and Bob on you, and I'm gonna go on the computer and look you up and show up at your house and slap you around.
How many John John's gonna kick
Who
some ass?
who the hell could hate Harley? If you don't love her, you know what? I won't show up to your house to beat you up, but I'll tell you right now, you're wrong. Using this form, you are just fucking wrong.
She
And
has
not
such
only
a
the
better
character,
arc.
the portrayal of her is so just so spot on. That bitch, she really did that in real life. She's picking shit up with her feet like monkey feet. Come on, man.
And
Come on,
just
man.
again, just the evolution that character's gone on. And again, she's been in a lot of flicks, admittedly. Um, but all of them have kicked ass to at least a certain degree. She hasn't disappointed once, and thank God she dismissed rumors that she was taking a break. No break ever for Miss Harley
Well,
Quinn. Like I want her
yeah.
everything.
But clearly something's on fire out there. But that all being said, I can never go too far without being irritated beyond beyond logic. Um,
Was it Twitter
so
again?
here I
Did Twitter get
am.
you?
I'm loving the movie, right? Looking forward very much to talking to my beloved brother Emma and our beleaguered fans about it. But and it was universally like beloved across the board. I couldn't find, and I was looking for him. Just like every once in a while, you want to be irritated. I'm like, let me see who's out there who I can be angry about. Angry and disagree with. But the simple fact of the matter is, you couldn't find those people really.
No, everyone was in love with Suicide Squad.
But, and this is a big Kardashian but. They couldn't even let me have a day, Charlie, before they reached across the interwebs and irritated me. And they said, oh, yeah, even though everyone loves it and it's, it's like coming off, it's clearly an improvement, this, that, and the other thing. It accomplished what DC and Warner wanted it to accomplish. Disappointing box office. Disappointing box. Now, should that bother me?
No.
Am I getting a cut? Am I winning for back end points on this fucking flick?
You have told me 100 times.
Yep.
Why the fuck do you care when I talk about box office numbers?
Mm-hmm.
And and that's the exact advice you should give you.
Now that's valid, and obviously all of my advice is good advice. That all being said, there are occasions where box office numbers do matter. And it's for things like, well, if a movie doesn't financially justify a sequel and you liked that particular movie, then it's a little sad because you're not going to get any more what you just like. You're like, well, this restaurant is closed forever. Even though I just had a good meal, I'm never going to eat there again. But that's obviously not the case here, especially when DC is working so hard to play catch up that they are going to squeeze close to their bosom anything that is even remotely enjoyed or received well. I hate to say it out loud, but like Aquaman. Aquaman for me was okay, but it was head and shoulders better than a lot of other things that came before it. So they're pushing forward Aquaman through, terrible divorces and through, crazy storylines and CGI and what have you. But it affected me. So I sat back and thought, in this day and age where people are still so hungry for superhero flicks, if you have a movie that is star-studded and that's received universally well, why the hell didn't people Go out and see it. Was it the new strain of COVID? Was it the boogeyman? Was it a
pandemic.
holiday coming up? You know what, Charlie? All of that or none of that may be true. I really don't know. That might be one of the things that we have to wait for the aliens to show up and tell us. Where's Hoffa buried? And why didn't the Suicide Squad do better at the quote-unquote box office? Even though I sat on my couch and watched it with Charlie's beloved password on HBO Max. However, if you made a movie that was kind of shitty, even if it wasn't your fault, if the studios got involved and you're like, well, my movie was better than this, that wasn't my movie, you know, you might have a leg to stand on. But regardless, the movie I saw, I didn't like. And then I get to make the next version, which is not a sequel. It was like a soft reboot, even though we had certain characters carrying over.
He was
First of all,
specifically told, take or leave whatever you want.
the audience doesn't know what a soft reboot fucking means.
That's right.
Because it doesn't have an actual clear, defined historical meaning. So it's a soft reboot. What the fuck does that mean? Okay, regardless. Put that aside for a minute. Also, as well as you're carrying some characters over, but not others. And their backstories, some of them are going to change and some of them are going to leave alone. Okay, that's a little bit fucking confusing. But you know what? I'll still give you that. Charlie, and I loved the movie. I don't want this to be lost. If the first movie was called Suicide Squad, why in God's green fuck would you name the not sequel / soft reboot The Suicide Squad? What the hell is wrong with you?
Yeah, that's one of those things that, like, some suit is like, well, people know the name Suicide Squad. Brand recognition is
they
good.
know it from the fucking movie that nobody liked.
To be
and
fair,
you know what's funny is that first movie made money.
To be fair, though, John, it's not like they're called anything else. The Suicide Squad is all there. There's not like I don't know, like Task Force X.
I know it's only in the title of this episode.
Oh, okay. Fuck.
Jesus Christ! It's not like they actually say it in the fucking movie. It's not like we've used the double dots in any movie title, dude. The movie titles now are like full paragraphs, like the Suicide Squad, also known as Task Force X, on the mission to stop Starro on imaginary Caribbean island someplace. Maybe we think because Spanish people are still gonna be the bad guy. Fuck them. All right, it's kind of long to be on a marquee, but okay, sure.
Personally, I would have named it Suicide Squad v Starro. That would have been mine. It would have been Suicide Squad 2 Rocky Balboa. It would have been Suicide Squad 2 Electric Boogaloo. I like Ellis's answer to Suicide Squad.
I agree completely with obviously they couldn't use the numbers on it, but because it wasn't a sequel, but on the same token, it wasn't a total scrap job either. Now, that all being said, did you know to stick around after the credits, or did you have to be told? I lost your audio. Are you on mute again, my friend?
Yep, I had to cough on instinct. I do not.
You just you know what? They win now. They've won.
I literally
they have gotten you to sit through the credits. The next time you go to like a rom-com,
the best boy,
or a horror movie, historical drama,
I recognize
documentary.
I recognize. I'm like, oh shit. Peter
That's like
Paparazzo was in this.
The Simpsons got me with their Halloween of Horrors because I sat through the funny name versions of like year after year. So now I'm like, I know all these fucking people. So spoiler warning, one of the characters that does bite it big time in the movie is going to get his or her own standalone series. Again, HBO Max is doing the Disney Plus playbook, is now getting his or her own series, which frankly, and Ellis will be happy to hear this, frankly, it's going to be fucking great. I think it's really going to be great. The last thing I'm going to say about it, and I'll let you wrap up the topic, is that of all the deaths, and there were many, and most of them were complete surprises to me. Most of them were, truly. The one death that was in the front and foremost didn't surprise me necessarily, but dare I say, I was actually happy about, was the very obvious death of the Snyderverse. This fucking movie officially kills the Snyderverse. Any of you suckers that were out there who are fans of said Snyderverse, I truly apologize both for your loss and for your bad taste. That's all I got to say about that.
Terrible. I say this: go see the movie, watch it multiple times on HBO Max, buy merch, loudly support it, so we get more James Gunn craziness in the DC. I want James Gunn doing a Lobo movie. I want James Gunn helming whatever project he wants.
Yeah, and let him pick his own soundtrack because he starts planning that shit ahead of time. And look, you know, there are certain auteurs out there that they make any project that they work on their own. Like they have their stamp. James Gunn, Tarantino, like there are certain certain directors out there that they just make their mark. There are those type of directors, and there are those directors, just like a certain no chin having, beard mocking toy boy George Lucas, who's something different, Charlie. He's something different. Do you know what he is?
Oh, I think I do, but why don't you tell us?
He's a damn liar. And you know why? Because Han shot first. Clink.
It's bad because it gets so warm in here. I put a piece of ice in it this time, and it has been melting for 2 hours.
I knock it back, and then I just let it sit back there, and I French kiss it for like a good 30 seconds, and then down the pipe it goes, baby.
We're talking about how you take shots.
Shots?
Not how
Oh
you
no,
make,
that's
a
totally different policy.
Sweet love.
Just don't even finish that sentence, please, for my sake. But in any case, you can take down the spoiler warning, and you can also go ahead and start my clock.
Boom.
You started it? You hit the button? It made the little beepy sound?
I did.
Here we go. All right. So, in much the same way that The Suicide Squad is not actually a sequel to Suicide Squad, my topic is also as well as not a true sequel to Charlie's topic from the other day.
Yay.
What it is a soft reboot. Charlie had brought up a topic a few weeks ago, which frankly, it caught me a little bit unawares. That's really not accurate. I wasn't unawares because we share a lot of opinion beforehand. It was more so one of those Monday morning quarterback topics. You ever like listen back a playback? Obviously, I know all of you out there watch and listen to multiple shows on repeat because there are certain things that you miss. You're only human. But seriously, I sat back thinking, oh shit, what about this? What about that? And it's very rare that once a topic has gone the way of the dodo that you can revisit it, mainly because there's just so much going on in the world of comic books and pop culture that there's new stuff on the horizon. So looking back, you know, that's how motherfuckers get turned into pillars of salt. However, on occasion, the gods smile down even upon this grill, and something happens where you have the luxury of revisiting a topic. Now, Charlie had brought up this topic, and the topic is simply comic book sequels to a movie or movie franchise that you loved. So Charlie's point of reference in that case was Batman 89. right? So the Keaton Batman, everybody loves him. Totally changed the game of comic book movies. Frankly, completely redecked Batman. Before that, Batman was in the blue and the grays. Um,
Gets Two
but
Face a Colt 45.
listen,
Finally.
who doesn't like a nice smooth one after a long day of saving the galaxy? Ain't that right, Chewbacca? So sorry about that, Ellis. That was a bad one. So uh again, the new comic was gonna pick up where after the second Batman flick left off. We have another installment on the DC front in that same vein. And it is one that just warms the cockles of my little icy heart. And it is none other than Superman 78.
You're shitting me.
So in a
I
few
thought
weeks'
that was
time,
canceled.
we are going to have
Oh.
Superman 78 picking up after the events directly of Superman 2. For anyone who doesn't know this, Superman 1 and 2 were filmed back to back. It was one of the first times that they ever did that. And shame on you if you didn't know that, but I'll let it go. So
You're a
again,
forgiving podcast host.
well, so anyone who knows the brothers Rivera knows that we're huge Superman fans.
It's a problem.
And the Superman the movie specifically, for me personally, it launched the ship across the seven seas and hasn't stopped sailing yet. The fact that we're gonna get a continuation of the Chris Reeve Superman story at the height of his powers, I could not be possibly more excited. So that's coming. We're gonna see it on the stands. However, when it really hit me, the news obviously was good news as far as I was concerned. But when it really hit me was, pero se coño, man, if I could go back now to that original topic that Charlie brought up with Batman, I would then talk about this particular franchise that I would love to see get the comic book treatment. And here it is, like Christmas morning, baby. I can do exactly damn that. Now, Charlie, as the originator of the topic, and as I'm sure someone who suffers greatly from the same malady that I do, Charlie, what was one of your comic book sequels that you wanted to see when it was your topic? Like, what did you leave on the cutting room floor, per se?
Well, I mean, we discussed. I thought Superman was canceled, so I didn't bring that one up at nauseum.
Wisely.
There was a bunch that popped into my head. Some of them were like just such deep cuts. The remake of Voltron that was on Netflix, I thought was awesome. I thought it would have fit a lot better when they did the revision the first time of He-Man.
Bubble Voltron. I'm not. I wasn't particularly a fan. Now, but you have to be fair, because an '80s kid, you could literally, first of all, if you were gonna end up with a full metal Voltron toys, then that means that your parents loved you enough to venture into Chinatown. And I'm not talking about Chinatown now, which is like basically like it's all Chinatown and there's like 1.5 blocks of Little Italy, but all of it is like Disney World, right? I'm talking about like the 80s Chinatown where you needed to buy nunchucks on the corner and a couple of ninja flips so that you can get to the next door, because there were just like actual ninja gangs on the street that you fight your way through. It was like a board of tough guys. You're like, oh, quarter. Like you had to fight your way through it. So if you had that first 80s Voltron toy,
Streets of Rage in
the
Chinatown.
lions were pure metal. They came directly over in one container for like the entire population of the United States. Like your kids loved you if your parents had got this, but also as well as those, the angles were so sharp that if you play with them wrong, you could lose a finger. I mean, they don't call me Nine Fingers Rivera for no reason. So I come from the angular, hard 90-degree Voltron world. When I saw this soft, bubble-shaped
You can't
Voltron
even hurt
cartoon,
anybody with this.
I'm like, and I'm trying. I can't even hurt a baby, and I'm really putting in the effort, the old college try. So yeah, no, that wouldn't be the one I went with.
Oh, that is beautiful and insane
Yeah,
all at once.
I agree.
I left off the table reboot. I don't remember if I got to mention the insanity of my idea to keep Clerks going. It did have a limited comic book series, but that was
Sure.
based on the movie.
In the cartoon version, it did.
Well,
Yeah.
I want to base it in the fucking cartoon world because that was such a great cartoon. All like 8 or 10 episodes were so good. Those were some of the ones I left on the cutting room floor just for time constraint purposes.
I gotcha. Well, you know what though? First and foremost, I want to say, are those new glasses? Because those are pretty
They are.
snazzy. Look at this guy. Oh my god. First of all, I thought we had an agreement. We're gonna divide the work of US Comics straight down the middle. Okay, you were gonna be the tech guy. I was gonna be the art guy. In terms of our production, you were gonna be the brains. I was gonna be the face. And here we are now, and you're showing up in new glasses, wearing a dope Ghostbusters shirt with a trademark John patent pending icon. Too sweet. You know what? We're gonna have to have a meeting after the show, so be ready. Anyways, the version, the sequel that I want to get in comic book form is such a no fucking brainer. The fact that I forgot to mention it is totally unforgivable. The fact that it wasn't the first thing out of my bubbling lips will haunt me until the day that I die 2 months from now. Okay? This has to happen. So whoever's out there listening, that's in the know, that has anybody a little bit of pull, I don't even need that much money. You could give most of it to Charlie. In the Marvel, Disney, Star Wars universe that exists now, I just recently read some grumblings. It was like literally a headline. It was a pooping headline. We're like, what the fuck is this? And the pooping headline was something along the lines of like, Disney Marvel will never do something that fans are clamoring for. And I'm like, I couldn't think of them. Like, what? They'll do anything. They clearly will do anything, including making a sequel trilogy that has no connection to what came before it, or that anybody likes, or that the directors of each individual movie even talk to each other or saw the movies that came before it. They'll literally do anything. So I opened the article. Charlie, you know what they were talking about? Like a scene from Parks and Rec. Honestly, I thought that the tagline was going to be fucking Patton Oswalt. Do you remember Patton Oswalt's filibuster when when she was skating around? Poor Leslie Knope. So this is so absurd. And the article, I'm going to paraphrase because I know I'm running out of time already. The article went on to say Disney. Ghost too. Ghost. Disney has said they are never, or there's no immediate plans, and it doesn't look good, to have Star Wars crossover with the Marvel universe. I'm sorry, what? Did you say that fans were clamoring for that? You, George Lucas, shot-taking motherfucker. You're a liar. You're a liar. I would have used that as my Han shot first one, but I didn't want to bury the lead. You're fucking lying, article. Nobody. I know the fans. This is the fans. That's the fans. He looks just like me, except 10 years younger.
And chubby.
Okay? The people listening, the people watching, those are the fans. None of us are clamoring for that. You're full of shit. You needed one more dumpster article to fill your quota. Don't worry, Jennifer. They're not going to do it. They're not going to do it for several reasons. First, mostly because it would be fucking stupid. Never mind the fact
Come
that
on,
you already have characters. You have Samuel L. Jackson, who exists in both the Star Wars universe, also as well as the Avengers universe. You have characters like, I don't know, Spider-Man, who reference the Star Wars movies in the Avengers movies.
No, see,
Like,
you're dumb. You're dumb. Everyone wants to see them do the Phoenix Saga again, but this time very much versus Darth Vader. This sounds like the idiot ramblings you accused me of going on. Like,
yeah, yeah.
what would be great?
Yes,
What
when
if the
Patton
Star
Oswalt
Destroyer?
wasn't the author, I said it's got to be Charlie. It's got to be Charlie. And
It's
you know what? I'll give him a
just-
little credit because he's definitely writing this on the pooper for the pooper audience.
Yeah, it's one of those articles. I don't know if you've fallen for these before, but they're like, see Brandon Routh as DC's Kingdom Come Superman in the new Flashpoint movie, and it's some asshole from Twitter's doodle. I'm like,
It's
that's
somebody's
not-
like they drew it on the little thin margin of their notebook, the spiral loose leaf notebook.
They're like
Yuck, I
Cody
say to you.
Rhodes. Cody Rhodes cast as Cyclops in Marvel's X-Men movie. And it's like a bad Photoshop. I'm like, I will burn this website down.
Somebody took a picture of Charlie's desk at work. You're like, oh shit. I also
Pew,
oh no,
pew,
it was mine. I did it.
Pieces of shit.
Yeah, no, they're garbage people. And never mind the fact that my morning poop had to be disrupted
cut
by
off.
by a traumatic, just like everything
Air.
cinched up to me. And I mean everything cinched up to me.
Suddenly everything's airtight.
Unbelievable. My toilet was like, damn. Anyways,
The porcelain broke around it like a dramatic action scene.
this traumatic, much like any superhero origin out there that's worth its salt, this trauma did indeed have a happy ending. because because
On
I
the pooper,
formulated
that's pretty vulgar.
this movie comic book sequel happening. I'm sure all of us here are well familiar with the Star Wars saga.
Yeah, all
So there's
3 parts now.
There's the 9-movie Skywalker saga. We've got multiple animated features. Dave Filoni, God bless you, wherever you are. May a Wookiee woman with big hairy bursists pull you close at night to her bosom and rock you to bed like a baby. In the winter, oh my god, little hot cocoa. Just anyways. We have Favreau's going ons with the Mandalorian and everything that's now birthing onto the screen, little screen for us, which is just nothing but goodness. No bad word to be said about it. So there's a lot going on. However, eagle-eyed fans will recall a certain scene
Don't say it.
in a prequel where Palpatine is addressing the Imperial Senate. And the camera pans up a huge arena
Don't do
of
it.
different alien species
Don't do it.
that are all comprise the Imperial government. One such alien species looked a little familiar
Damn
to
it.
those eagle-eyed folks out there.
God
And
damn
no,
it.
not because you saw their progeny in a cantina, not because you saw a pelt of one hanging from Boba Fett's belt. No. This alien species looked very familiar to you because back in the 80s, you saw a little flick which was very popular with both the kids and the adults.
Gosh,
A little
darn it.
movie that maybe a guy who likes to tell stories about aliens, but also as well as giant sharks and little kids riding around on bicycles. I am talking about E. E.T. That's right, Charlie. E.T. phoned home and he said, make sure
Elliot.
I do not miss this assembly.
Elliot.
E.T.'s species
Elliot.
can clearly be seen in the little soup bowl containers that all the little other delegates were sitting in during Palpatine's address. So we've now established that ET's species exist in the world of Star Wars, right? Now that's important to keep in mind, because if you go back, and I don't know when the last time that you watched ET was, Charlie, but there's one point where they're just desperate to get poor little ET out there in the world. He's all homebound. It's almost like he was he was COVID. He was in place.
The pandemic.
He didn't even have Grubhub. He couldn't even like stream stuff on Netflix. Like he was pandemic it in the worst possible way. He needed to get out. So they said, hey, you know what? Let's check Calendar Man and say, when is this? Oh, you know what, ET? Good luck. Because good news, it's Halloween. So they put ET in costume, and they're able to walk him out there, and he can get away with it. Now, if you recall, while he was out and about gallivanting on All Hallows Eve, he sees a lot of other children out there trick-or-treating in costume, as they're wont to do.
I hate you.
Charlie, one such child was dressed as a certain character from a very popular franchise going strong in the 80s. This little kid was dressed up as Yoda. Yoda from the Star Wars franchise. And if you pay close attention, like I know you do, E.T. pays particular attention to this kid dressed up like Yoda, dressed up like a species that E.T. is very familiar with because they live in the same damn world. All right? So,
how did it get distilled? You just bitched about Peter Parker referencing the Star Wars.
That's a good point. Now, because as my pooping article would have you believe, Disney's like, no, we're not going to carry them over. I know nobody asked for it, but here we're going to tell you that no, we're not going to do it. And you know what? They didn't say the reason why they're not going to do it. The reason why they're not going to do it is because it wouldn't make any damn sense. In this case,
we're not going to do terrible fucking ideas.
Perfect. Like, look, we had a company policy of doing stupid, terrible ideas. Clearly, it didn't work out. So now we're going to do the opposite. We're only going to do good ideas. In this case, Charlie, and this is my presentation for the comic book that I want to see. The comic book sequel. That's all I need, baby. The comic book sequel for E.T. is going to be hitting the stands as soon as somebody with bull hears my pitch. All right. So E.T. does all the running around. The men in white, they now know of his presence, and little Elliot needs to pack up his Reese's Pieces and get E.T. the hell out of Dodge while the getting's good, right? So they're running away from the government, trying to collect them all up, and Charlie, especially, there's a particular scene which is very famous at this point, where our main man E.T. is in the basket, adorably, of Elliot's bicycle, and Elliot and his little gang of rabble-rousers, little baby Drew Barrymore notwithstanding, and he's hauling cheeks down the street like a straight-up scene out of Stranger Things, even though that shit didn't exist yet. Oh, he's racing down the street. He's trying to get away from the cops, and they're dipping and diving and ducking to get away through the traffic to avoid the government people fast on his heels. And Charlie, do you remember ultimately how they ended up escaping from those government hooligans?
They just start fucking flying.
All of a sudden, out of the clear fucking blue, these bicycles lift up. They lift up off the ground, and they take to the air. And there's a beautiful scene Amblin Entertainment doesn't ever want you to forget. Ooh, it's higher than I thought.
Are you
So
saying
the
that little kid
bicycles course through the sky,
God
through
damn
a
it.
beautiful silhouette
God
against the
damn
full
it.
Hunter's Moon, and now they're able
I've
to get
never
away.
been angrier.
Also, there's some ET moments. Charlie referenced it. Little glowing fingertip. Also, as well as a fucking spaceship crash lands on Earth, and little 1 foot long legged ET walks away, nary a scratch. Charlie, if you have an alien species from the Star Wars universe that can do all of that, that can survive crashes, that can make a glowing finger phone call, that can rise a bicycle with multiple Turins up into the air and course them through the sky to escape, I don't know, much like you would an X-Wing out of the swampy water, maybe the way you would a lightsaber through the air to cut off little abominable snowman's arm. I don't know. Charlie! E.T. was a fucking
Mary Sue
Jedi. E.T.
God
is a Jedi. First name Jed, last name Ignatius, initial I. He just goes by Jed I, period.
He's just
E.T. was a Jedi, man. Now, I don't
boy.
want to be crazy. I don't want to say that. No,
Too fucking
maybe,
late.
maybe, I don't know. I haven't written it out yet, but maybe Yoda pulled the same bullshit on him like he did Anakin. I know, E.T., you survived the crash, and I know you made finger phone calls, and I know you saved the kids, but we still don't grant you the rank of master. So maybe E.T. was just like a Jedi. Maybe he was a Padawan. Maybe his master died in that crash that brought him to Earth. So now you have a little Padawan, one of the rare few that escaped the lightsaber anger of a certain blonde-haired Skywalker, nay, soon to be Vader. So he's out there in the world. He's on Earth. What's going to happen after he escapes from Earth? Well, Charlie, you're just going to have to go to the stands or go to your local shop and pick up issue 1 of E.T. 2, Jedi Apprentice, written by John Rivera.
I'm furious at how well timed that was. Furious.
Oh, the crowd goes wild.
Complaint letters you can leave in the comment section. If you hit share, if you hit like, that means you're as angry
fucking know
as I am.
E.T. Jedi would be straight fire. You know what? And Ellis raises an interesting point because as I had mentioned by my pooping lead-in, traumatic events create the most interesting, nay, powerful villains. Certainly, look at fucking Darth Vader, right? Look at Darth Vader. Look at all the traumatic bullshit that happened to him. Look at Magneto. Look at Charlie Rivera. Sometimes traumatic events create villains. So maybe little guy, blue-eyed E.T., maybe he goes down the path of the Sith because Yoda done him wrong. Maybe that's why he was giving the blue stink eye to the kid wearing the Yoda costume on the street. Maybe he's like, there's that pointy-eared motherfucker. Right? We don't know. It's going to take a little doing, but I think we're going to ultimately get there. But the fact is,
this might be the finest moment in the podcast history.
Jedi, bro.
You have lost your goddamn mind.
Sorry.
Start my time because I have nothing to fucking add to that at all.
Wait, but also as well as we got to pay some bills, man. You just jump into your time.
That's true. My soul hurts. I'm gonna need after this some therapy, and my favorite type of therapy comes a la my ear holes. Listening to one of my absolute favorite bands. You heard him at the beginning of the show. You're gonna hear him at the end of the show, and that of course is Bad Mary. You can find Bad Mary on all social media at Bad Mary Band. You can support them financially over on patreon.com/Bad Mary. My favorite part about Bad Mary isn't that they're constantly dropping new covers, dropping new music. It's not their mail-in, their email list. Well, they'll drop the newest. It's not the fact that they are once again doing an awesome poll to pick the next limited edition Bad Mary shirt. It's that all of their music is available on every single streaming service. So if you have a streaming music service, which I know you do, you also have the entire discography of Bad Mary. Go to the website right now, badmary.com, where you can support them by buying a CD, a t-shirt, a keychain. They're the friggin' best in the world. And I don't have to wait till a Chicago pay-per-view to see them. Bad Mary, go support them. Who's our next sponsor, baby?
Well, there's only one, Charlie, and you can find him right here on Facebook Gaming. And I am talking about none other than Sergeant Finesse. 2 streams a day, outstanding gaming content, supporter games, giveaways, contests. Don't be a sucker. Check him out today. Throw him a like, a follow. Consider becoming a supporter. Don't be a camper. He don't like it. However, if you need to pick me up, go ahead and do yourself a favor. Follow the White Rabbit over to sneakenergy.com. Use code SGT out. Check out. So good. However, if you're looking for some fresh new gear, do yourself a solid. Go over to geeksunleashed.com. Use code SARGE at checkout there. I don't want to go crazy, though. They got some dope gear. They got some dope gear at geeksunleashed.com. If you're looking for some Sarge stuff, that's where you find it. What you won't find over there is this official Ride or Die Sergeant Finesse supporter t-shirt. That's right. This is limited edition, son. This is the type of stuff. This is the kind of shit that you got to be a ride or dyer like myself to get. And this was created by none other than Supermod Jennifer Farrell Adams. She's here with us in the chat. Jennifer, dope job on the t-shirts. They came out awesome. I'm not sure who all has received theirs. I know, again, it's a limited few because you got to be a ride or dyer like us to get it. But if you want to be in the know, become a ride or dyer like me and Jen and Charlie, check out Sergeant Finesse. Do it today. Not right now, but after this stream.
That's right. Start my damn time now that we paid some bills.
Boop.
I need to preface this. It's very, very important.
Ooh, preface.
I do think comic books are one of the things that brings me the most joy in this sometimes occasionally unforgiving world. And I will never sit here ever and pretend that if something doesn't resonate with me or if something doesn't work with me means it doesn't have value. Something that we learned a few years back with the My Little Pony series was that all sorts of adults took not only joy, it was their favorite thing. Everyone has something like Ghostbusters or Ninja Turtles or AEW that constantly, I always feel better when I read a comic, watch an episode of AEW, rewatch a Ghostbuster flick. And what is amazing about those things, every single thing I just mentioned has helped make me who I am or helped reinforce what I was. Growing up with you, the easiest thing to do was to parody the things I enjoyed. So when you were funny, I would try to be funny too. When you tried to be sarcastic,
all the time?
That's true. When you had your goatee and shaved it, I cried like a jump stand because
like
how dare you show me your chin? I take it as great disrespect.
I mean, you were 22 years old, man. Those tears were heavy tears.
I don't get over it. But things will always hold a power. Rainbow Bright Care Bear. I mean, the Care Bears theme song is still one of the most rocking themes of
Oh
all
yeah.
time.
Don't
And
forget the Care Bear cousins.
hell yeah, lions and shit. The thing that I love about fiction is that it gets to evolve with us. It's also
Yeah.
sometimes the thing I hate. I constantly am bitching when comic books stray too far from what I
Your
consider,
comfortability.
yeah, my level of comfort, or sometimes it's just the things I love and the types of stories I love. And the fact of the matter is, there will always be people who the things in comics I don't enjoy love. I know people who, I mean, the New 52 had some bangers for me, and people constantly are like, well, that's impossible. I'm like, bullshit. Like, if I fucking enjoyed it, if
How do
I,
I how do I cut Charlie's mic so that
you,
nobody can
you
hear the
can't,
craziness he's saying?
I'm the producer.
I'll keep talking about more
No,
ET stuff. It's fine.
that's, I believe
Oh,
you,
I'm
but
sorry. No,
there's no, that's
I was talking
fake.
to
That's a
Copernicus over
fake.
here.
There's no, nope, not a real person. Um, so I say all of that because I want to talk about a new change in a character's sexuality that got confirmed. It actually happened about a month ago, where the seeds were set, and it was confirmed this week. In the pages of one of the Batman comics. I don't remember it because I don't have my pile of books in front of me, but it's an anthology series for Batman. And the big news to come out of this issue is Tim Drake, the third Robin, is seemingly bisexual. I say seemingly because he is currently figuring it out, which is I think where the story may not be working perfectly for me. Tim Drake, considered the smartest Robin. He's kind of the tech Robin. He's been Red Robin. For 10 seconds, he just went by Drake, which seems like they were begging for a lawsuit. But Tim Drake tends to not, in the circle I'm in, he tends to not be anyone's favorite Robin. It's kind of universal that Damian sucks. But Dick Grayson is kind of considered the end
Well,
all be
Damien
all.
is
And
evil, man.
he's a
Damien is
little
just like
prick.
you don't name a kid Damien and be like, this kid's gonna be all right.
Yeah,
No,
exactly. He's just
stop it.
popping off Batman action figure heads and shit. But what's been interesting is the last bit of time, Tim Drake's character is a character that has been struggling to find his place in the world. You can't be called Red Robin or Robin 3 without feeling a little bit like the replacement of a replacement.
Are there even Red Robins?
I mean, probably. If you got enough spray paint, anything's possible. But ultimately, when I read in last month's
It's
installment,
Urban Legends, by the way.
thank you.
They used our little double dot idea. Batman, Urban Legends. Suicide Squad, Urban Legends. Nobody would have been confused.
Nope, I don't think so. They just thought it was a weird re-release.
People go
But
like, "Oh, Batman, Urban Legends. This must be a direct sequel to the '60s campy TV show."
I got to tell you the truth. The way that they handled it in the previous episode was a little bit. It was a little bit lacking in subtlety for me. They didn't make it overly clear, but in essence, he's on a date with a male friend.
Well, I read it digitally after we had our little text conversation about what we wanted to talk about
Last month's or just this month's?
this month.
Okay, so this month was the second part. The
Yeah.
first part was he goes out to dinner with a friend who they've redesigned slightly. It's a character that's been around for a while. What is it?
Yeah.
Sebastian? Is that the name? It's a name like that, multiple syllable name. Blonde hair. They drew him very cutesy compared to he used to have kind of a long face, but he
Yeah.
always had longish blonde hair.
They make a fine couple. To be
They-
totally frank, they look like
they
they're
are
on
a
a date
handsome
to
couple.
Abercrombie.
Yes.
Like I can see these two standing outside in the mall. I'm like, yeah, I'll buy size 27 jeans. Okay, I don't know what the hell I'm gonna do. Maybe I could put them on like my Cabbage Patch Kid at home. I don't know. I'm not gonna wear them.
But what I found interesting was just that it didn't really make the news cycle. It didn't go crazy in the news cycle.
Yeah,
Twitter
yeah.
had something to say, and Twitter, at least the accounts I read for the most part, were ecstatic. It's very interesting the difference a month can make. A month ago, there was a lot of LGBTQ groups and people who identify in one of those many letters ways who were celebrating that they had a Robin that they could identify with, a Robin on of their own, which is fucking awesome. It's something I talk about all the time. Don't you laugh at Ellis's comment. We'll bring it up in a
I'm
second.
sorry.
Um,
Ellis. I'm Ellis's core demographic.
It's
I can't
true.
help it.
It's true. But this month, now people are kind of mad, which I guess I shouldn't be
Who's
surprised by.
mad? Who's
I think
mad?
it's just fake. Now I have some very strong opinions about it, but I want to kick it to you. I know you read
Yeah.
the issue. It's only about 11 pages in this
Yeah.
anthology comic. But when you didn't mute that one, when you heard about it, when you read it, what were your initial feelings?
Well, my feelings were thus. I kind of felt the same way that I did about Alan Scott. So, for anyone who's unaware, the very first DC's first Earth Green Lantern, Alan Scott.
The sweet cape.
He's the Alan Scott. He's the Green Lantern that doesn't look at all like what we think of as Green Lantern. He's wearing like red and he's got a purple cape, and the only he's got like lace up boots, like he's about to jump into the arena, gladiator arena. But he's got a green ring and he's got a power that ish up. So that's as Green Lantern as he gets. Now DC retconned his background and obviously they've had multiple reboots and restarts and rejiggers. And they said, oh, also as well as all this other stuff is going on, but also Alan Scott, he's gay. So it almost like it was like, okay, all right, that's fine. It's not as if we were getting a ton of Alan Scott stories.
Very true.
So, and also, I'm not running around with Alan Scott t-shirts. However, everyone knows if you've listened to them 5 minutes with that, I'm pretty like Batman neutral. Like, yeah, he's okay. I only get worked up when people are like Batman with enough preparation, he could beat anybody.
Not if he has the
can't.
fucking
Stop
moon
it.
thrown out.
There are characters in this world that warp reality. No amount of Batman's supercomputer is going to change that. Stop it. Let Batman stay in his lane. Let him tell his stories. His parents are dead. Don't bring it up. But
if you do, you'll adopt a new kid.
Unlike Charlie, if I'm going to be exposed to a Batman story, let it be a Batman story. I'm not really that interested in Batman Jr. stories. When they do happen, when they catch my attention, it's usually for something bad. Like, I don't know, like he hooked up with, poor little Barbara Gordon, Batgirl up on a rooftop. She's like, I quit. He said, I'll have sex with you instead. All right. This conversation went sideways somehow.
You're like, oh, at least that's not kind of your daughter, your best friend's actual daughter, your son's ex. Fucking Batman sucks.
There's a lot to unpack there. But the Batman Jr. stories never really grabbed me in any capacity. You know which one really did? When DC had a vote for what they should do, almost like what they did to poor little baby Crusher on
Jason.
Star Trek. They were like, should we kill this guy? And they were like, yep. Mostly because those are the back of the classroom voices, like, kill him. Like, nobody thought they were actually going to do it, but they did it. At least for a little while, they did it.
And fucking brutally.
Oh, boy. They really gave him the old college try. Joker, you rapscallion. So, that all being said, that's the long way around. I've never really been much of like a Robin aficionado myself. The future Robin series where like he's running around, but also as well as there's like an android version of him, and Batman's dead, and he doesn't want to pick up the Batman meds. He's like, I'm Robin. I've got blonde hair.
Rules.
I look like Eminem somehow, even though Eminem hasn't come out yet. Like, that was pretty interesting Robin story.
And also, that's why Eminem looks that way. He's a big Robin 3000 fan.
It could happen. So,
hi, my name is Robin 3000.
Will the real Robin stand up? So that all being said, when they say one of the multiple Robins that we have running around at the same
Robin
time
3 of 9.
is now maybe he's bisexual. I'm like, oh, okay, cool. I'm not ecstatic about it. I'm not angry about it. Not in the slightest. I'm like really like neutral about it.
Yeah.
I will say this, and I know that we're only 22 pages into this story. If you're writing and then above all else, I consider myself a writer. I draw a little bit, I sing a little bit, I try to be funny. More than anything, I try to be a role model to this poor little Charlie because he needs one.
You're doing a bad job.
I know, and I apologize in advance. But that all being said, as a writer, if you introduce an element, any element, I don't care if it's a cup of water on the edge of your desk, if you introduce the element and you don't address it again at some point in that story, you fucked up, Jim. You did not do a good job as a writer. So if you're introducing an element, and in this case this is a big one, where you have a character who has on the page dated girls because he's a young kid.
I think 12 or
he's
13.
he's dated girls before, and now is deciding, you know what, this guy looks pretty good to me, I'm going to date him. That's excellent. And representation, as we always say at US
Fucking
Comics,
tremendous.
representation is one of the very most important things. How do you expect somebody to pick up a book or watch your show or watch your movie when nobody is a reflection of them? All that's going to do is say, these people matter, you don't matter. Fuck you. Fuck you. As far as I'm concerned, everybody needs to be, not should, not could, needs to be, must be represented. I can't say that strongly enough. Are there LGBTQ characters in the DC world? Yes, of course there are. And DC has been making more of a point of it. I will say, though, where it really does work for me is that it's a young character who's figuring shit out.
Yeah.
Because every person who was once young knows that's youth's job. Youth is for two things: so you to fuck shit up, so that you don't fuck it up again down the road, and to figure things out, figure out what you like. Broccoli, I hate that. Oh, broccoli with melted cheese. That's not so bad. That's not bad. Oh, dating a girl. Oh, that's pretty good. Oh, dating this blonde Abercrombie boy. Oh, that shit's really good. And you know what? You do have there's far more of a proliferation of gay characters. Straight. That was not intended. Not intended that pun. But I'll use it anyway. A straight gay character. Like, gay is all that they are. You don't see as much a bisexual character. There are some, by all means. Fucking Harley Quinn. We were just talking about him. Anyone who doesn't know that Harley Quinn is established as a bisexual character, you're not paying attention, or you have not read/watched enough of Harley Quinn stories for it to come about. Matter of fact, I just had the conversation that somebody was saying, oh, well, Harley shouldn't be able to do X, Y, and Z. And I said, Harley should be able to do X, Y, and Z, even more so than fucking Joker, because all Joker has going on for him is that he's batshit crazy. Harley is also batshit crazy, but she has superpowers. She's got superpowers that are given to her by her sometimes girlfriend. They're close. Fucking Ivy. Poison Ivy gave Harley a serum that in effect gave Harley Quinn powers. She's not Wonder Woman. She's not Superman. She's not fucking she's not Captain Marvel. She's not even Gamora. But she has powers. Certainly she could beat the shit out of either one of us. So she does have powers. But also as well as she is bisexual.
Yeah. And I think that is where my problem comes from. And this isn't a joke, although I can't find better wording in my mind. This story thus far, 22 pages in, it's very early still.
Yeah.
It lacks balls on the part of DC.
Huh. Okay.
So you have a character that I think most people would not list as their number one or even number two Robin.
Boy,
You
that is a subsection of a subsection.
you want to explore more characters to represent different groups. Where I think the problem lies, even though Tim is a young character, he is an old young character. Tim has been around for a very long time.
Yeah. Yeah. 40 years, maybe
There are characters
35 years.
there are characters on his level or higher
Yeah.
that do not have well established previous relationships. There are characters who their discovery could be made into a bigger deal in the media. And I think this is where my problem comes from. And I do admit it's a little bit of fantasy booking. Jonathan Kent, the future state Superman, has no history with his sexuality.
Right.
And if you're telling me that you don't think the Man of Steel character being bisexual would be an interesting character trait, you're out of your mind.
Without question. But
and
let me
seeing-
just put a pin in it real quick because I don't
Please.
want you to get too far away from the firstly, one LGBTQ character doesn't preclude another.
Absolutely.
So maybe John Kent, maybe he ends up being LGBTQ in one flavor or another.
Sure.
The other thing that I would say is one of the more endearing parts of the story that you brought to my attention, so I read the book,
You're welcome.
is that okay, so Tim Drake is now going to he's going to date a guy, so they're establishing him as bisexual, even though he's already and they've already established that he dated girls before. Also, he's like not sure, like he hasn't defined anything. He's like, okay, this is officially how
He's
it
like,
is.
this fucking dude's a hunk.
I
I can establish that. He looks at his date the way I look at Henry Cavill. Like, he gives me funky feelings.
Well, he wants to cast him in everything, regardless of how appropriate it is. But no,
Remake of Annie,
my
starring
point is this: I think it's actually more endearing to have a character that, on some level, you're like, oh yeah, sure, Tim Drake. I know that. I know Tim Drake. He's one of the Robins. And you say, oh yeah, he's coming out now as bi, or coming out like on the comic book pages. We're
Figuring it
talking
out.
about superhero worlds. We're talking about aliens coming down from space. We're talking about godlike powers. We're talking about civil wars, and you're talking about reality shifting and dimensions overlapping and being able to run through time. One of the most realistic fucking things that you can find on those pages is especially a young kid be like, I'm not really sure. I'm not sure. So you know what? I'm going to try this. I'm going to try a little bit of that. That is some reality. And also, that being said, I like that they're not doing a check out our new character, Snowflake. Look at our new character.
I
They
1000% agree.
made some cringe ass fucking decisions trying to be representative, where you're like, what are you doing? This is not, you're not doing anybody a favor. This is harmful. You're making it worse
but
with what you're doing right now. So I don't think
those
that
characters
his coming out should be a Robin Hood, Tim Drake comes out of the closet. Like that shouldn't be the. That's not the main narrative.
I don't disagree with that. My question is,
whose sexuality do you know, whether they wear a cape or not? Where they're like, oh, this is what defines me. I'm straight man. Like, all right, well, what do you fucking do for a living, dude?
First of all, that was your dating profile for a long time.
When we all started our AOL chats, we just grabbed whatever fucking names we could because we wanted to get online. All right, bro? Don't judge me.
I think what my problem is, the reason that something like Snowflake so aggressively doesn't work is because they don't let it
Snowflakes
actually.
don't work. They just sit in their mom's basement and
I
fucking
think
complain online.
I think if you really cared about
Nailed it.
if you really cared about doing a story like this, and
Yeah.
if you don't, if the writer doesn't care, shame on DC,
Well,
because there's a
well,
billion characters who probably do,
let me jot this down because
a
I'm gonna
billion
forget this.
writers and whatnot that do. Um, I think the problem is it still feels very hot shotted. It
What
seems
do you mean?
it's in 22 pages they introduce the idea and have already gotten to the point of like, no, I do want to go on this date.
What color is Tim Drake's hair?
Black.
Is it important to the narrative what color his hair is?
No.
What color is his boots compared to the original Robins?
Original Robins were green, his are red.
Okay, is that completely important to the narrative? Is that a
No.
plot point? No. What was a plot point is that the guy that he wants to go on a date with gets fucking kidnapped by aliens, and he's got to save the day, which is like the tropiest superhero shit. Like the person that I have feelings for
Yeah.
is in peril. Like as a little kid, that's the shit you sit in the back of the class and daydream about. You're like, if this person got in trouble, was attacked by a gang of marauders, and I pulled a Ralphie and I saved the day and shot him up with old blue, then I would be the hero and this person would run into my arms. That is classic adolescent fucking bullshit. And who can do that better than anybody else? A fucking superhero, even a dumb one like Robbins with no powers. So the fact that he got to live out that daydream and save the person, he's like, you know what? I could take this motherfucker out for a Malton and a burger. That's outstanding. Good for them. And in that sense, yeah, that's when then being bisexual or being LGBTQ or being whatever, being attracted to someone who's different, from a different demographic than you, or that's interracial or whatever. Like literally fill in the blank. Anyone that you're interested in that way, and they're one thing and you're the other, or what have you, and then you can save the day. That's a comic book.
Sure.
That
And
makes sense. That story.
but I don't have any.
But I don't think that his being bi is like. Are you gonna say, oh, Tim Drake, the one that was Red Robin, or are you gonna be like Tim Drake, the bi one? Because if that's the case, then they fucked up. That's
But
who the hell wants to be like that?
But I feel like them hot shotting it will cause that. That's my
Really?
problem. It's not that what they're doing, it's kind of how they're executing it. You could have had a year of this kid figuring himself out after like just breaking up with Spoiler not too long ago. Honestly, and DC sets itself up so beautifully.
Nobody who dates a Stephanie does well. None of them.
Sorry, every Stephanie.
None of them.
But
Damn it.
my point is, could you
Charlie
imagine?
tried to warn you.
Could you imagine if Tim, out of curiosity, goes to Dick Grayson and starts talking to him about this idea of one sexuality? Tim Drake fucks aliens on the reg, like the Bat family. You can't fuck anything without them being like, right on, buddy. Fucking right on. And I think those stories would have been amazing. And I feel, and again, they could still do it. We're still
fairness,
learning. Or Ellis's amazing theory about, Batman not allowing his Robins to go down on the ladies because that's not a Batman thing to do. And Tim being like, fuck that noise. I know how to add some shit. I know loopholes when I find them.
I disagree. Fucking Bruce is all about it. It's those damn censors that don't want to show it. That don't mean it didn't happen.
Just fucking, there's a reason all of his gear has knee pads. You're welcome, Catwoman. My whole point is,
Charlie,
hope the
don't
story,
you have some Ghostbuster knee pads on, like right behind you right now?
for my elbows. It's different. It's different.
That's some Rocky Horror shit, buddy.
Well, Jess had to, I was going to say something very vulgar.
Oh my God.
And I didn't
what time do
it.
we air in Hawaii?
Yeah, exactly right. But my bottom line is I hope the story winds up being a very, very fulfilling, very, very not obtuse one. I thought the character redesign of the potential love interest was a little on the nose. It's not a character that I ever looked at before and thought looked stereotypically homosexual, and now he kind of does.
That
Again,
might just be your filter, though.
a
You know what I
hundred
mean?
percent, it
That's the
could be,
thing,
and I hope
because
that's the case. I just
you
think
don't, you
it's
never want to be in that position where you like, who
this
opens
is
up a
what gay
comic
people look
book
like. Yeah,
and like this person is, like that's kind of
do
gross. You
normal
know what I
people
mean?
not
Like,
do that?
I mean, traditionally not. Traditionally
My
not.
point is this: I love the idea of more people being represented in
Yeah,
four color funny
hundred
books.
percent.
I just hope it's handled with the respect it deserves, and I hope when
Yeah.
they have the opportunity to do it high stakes, they always choose to go that route. And I hope it's not just a random Robin for the sake of being
Well, you know
a
what?
character that not anyone's
And
going to be too mad about.
this can be a call to action, because in much the same way that I'm not going to offer up my opinion on some restaurants' fucking pork chops, be they good, bad, or indifferent. And Charlie is in no position to say, my favorite brand of peanut butter is, because neither one of us partake in either of those particular delicacies to some. I think we would probably be better served to speak with somebody directly in the LGBT community and see what their take on this Tim Drake news is, because I have a differing opinion than you. I think it's just swell, as far as, not, I mean, we both agree it's swell what they've done,
Yeah,
but
what
I
they're
think that the way that they're approaching it is spot on. I think that this is how you do it. It's like an aside almost. Is it part of their story? Yeah, absolutely. Is it the most important defining characteristic of this person? No, it's certainly not, because I know that will be the case for me or you or anybody listening or
yeah,
watching
that
this show.
aspect I agree is
So,
it's
so you and I are on, on slightly
we're
different.
on the same
We're not
fence on
on
different sides.
right. We're not on opposite sides of the net on the tennis court, but we're playing doubles on the same team. Right. We got the same agenda. But I'm interested, and there are certainly a few people that I can reach out to, and maybe they'll join us next week for a little segment that I
I
like to
like it.
call "Was Charlie or John Right?"
I have one more thing though. I do
Do
want
it
to
and
ask.
then wrap us up.
It is another call to action, as it
Nice.
were.
Two calls to action.
If representation is important to you, please go out and actually support this book. Whether or not you're in love with the story, one thing I've seen when doing a little bit of research for the episode is a lot of people are very proudly torrenting the book, or going to illegal websites to prevent the book from getting the sales that maybe it deserves, because it seems to be the talk of the town.
Are
And
they
it's currently
preventing it, or are they just cheap?
it could be both, but if this sort of thing is important to you, don't be cheap. It's $4. I
I
think
mean,
it is
just
in
don't be cheap across
general.
the board, because much like the earlier conversation, where like when the box office matter, just because we want more content, that goes for comic books, physical paper comic books as well. Buy the
Exactly
book,
right.
buy it digitally, so you don't have to worry about ruining it in the rain, which is coming down right now. But yeah, Charlie's right. Buy the book, read it, and then have an opinion.
And if not, buy a different book. So you're like, I like this book better. Buy a goddamn comic book, or just give me
By
$4.
John Rivera's E.T. sequel, E.T. Jedi Master, available soon, hypothetically.
For the CEO of US Comics, I, of course, am your COO of US Comics. Please like, comment, subscribe, hit the share button, listen to the audio version, even if you're not totally listening. Play it for the pets. Pets freaking love us. Show us support. Help get the word out so we can keep the show free and we can keep doing it, because it is my favorite Wednesday activity. And that's saying something, because AAW is on Wednesdays. God bless the West Coast feed. For John, I am Charlie, my dear brother. There is only one way that we end this and every episode of US Comics Cast. Why don't you tell the lovely people how that is?
Well, if you're ride or die like me, there's only one thing to do, and that's turn the power on. Turn the volume up. You gotta tune Bad Mary in. Open up the window wide and scream out into the night sky. Save me, Space Girl. Oh, we out.